All right. All right, welcome, everybody. I'm going to read our statement of compliance. This meeting is being held in accordance with the Open Publics Meeting Act, and adequate notice this meeting has been provided as required by law. Specifically, the annual notice was emailed to the West Essex Tribune and Star Ledger on January 3, 2025. The agenda and resolutions for this meeting are available at livingstonnj.org. Certain portions of this meeting may be closed to the public for purpose of personnel and or other matters outlined in the Sunshine Law. Decisions made and or discussed in closed sessions will be known to the public at a later time. Notice to members of the governing body and township staff. Any use of electronic devices during the meeting shall be used solely for the purpose of township business, and any communications are subject to the Open Publics Record Act. To the extent possible, this evening's Township of Livingston Council meeting will be live streamed via Facebook at facebook.com/Livingston Township NJ. Questions or comments will also be accepted by emailing livcomments@livingstonNJ.org by 4 p.m. on that day, of the meeting and shared with Township Council before the meeting. Each speaker shall follow the rules of order in Livingston Code 2-15.3. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Anthony.
Here.
Botani.
Here.
Viera.
Present.
Deputy Mayor Klein.
Here.
Mayor Meinhardt.
I am here. We are going to rise for a moment of silence, followed by the by the Pledge of Allegiance. This evening, we all could please remember Bill Gethard, who passed away. Bill was a library custodian, a town crossing guard, and a volunteer fireman, and a dear friend to many in this community. And he passed away over the weekend, so we'd like to keep him and his thoughts and his family in our prayers this evening. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, I do not see Eileen Fishman from the county, so we will move on. We do have one presentation this evening. Thanks to Allie and her group who are here. I'm going to let Councilman Anthony, who is the liaison to the LEC, lead us on this evening.
Yeah, sure. Well, Allie, you're going to speak on behalf. Okay. So just real briefly, first of all, it's my honor to be the liaison from the town council to the LEC. And the LEC, if any of you don't know, and anyone listening here tonight, has really had such a great year and a half, 2 years, since Allie, you've been involved, and since the kids, students, young adults have been involved with not only being members of the LEC, but also just a flourishing of ideas in the high school and what they've brought to the table as far as just, I always kid, the LEC's got a bunch of people about my age on there, and now we're getting all the great ideas from our youth. And one of them was this Enviro Art mural competition, which Allie's going to speak about. And we do have some citations to give out because all of you are winners. I had the great honor of being a judge along with Councilman Butani. And some other people who know art better than me. I don't know about you, but we got a chance to look at all the art, and like I said, I think Councilman Butani and I both thought you're all winners. It's a tremendous initiative. It's going to get people talking in town. What art does, beautiful artwork, always gets people talking. It's something to look at, inspire ideas, and I think that's what this entire competition has done and will continue to do once these are up at 3 locations in town. I went from 1 to 3 because it's such an outstanding idea. That was not mine. I got out of the way and as a liaison, just watched it happen on the LEC. So, Allie, if you want to come up and talk a little bit about it. I know we have citations from the council for each and every participant. Of course.
Oh, come through here.
this working okay? My name's Ali Barmas. I'm a member of the Livingston Environmental Commission with Al. And like he said, this mural art competition was really driven by Chloe, who was one of our first student members. So it's an initiative to bring environmentally themed art to Livingston as a way of both starting a visual conversation, which these amazing students are participating in, but also to find out which issues they're passionate about, and to really hear young voices. So not only the 6 students who are standing here with me, who are the finalists, but also all the students who participated really got to share with us what their ideas are. And so more than just the competition, it's a chance for all of us to really listen to what they care about and to help support their ideas for their future, which we share. So I think that was a really important part of this. And then we had a launch in September, at which point we had all of our entries mentored as we went through the students, and then we selected our 6 finalists, who then continued with us for some additional mentoring, facilitated by Jeremy Moss at the Heidi Gallery near the JSDD. And from there, they've had individual mentoring too, so it's really been about the growth of their ideas, for them as people, for their art, and also for understanding their environmental voices and passions. So I can introduce you to Sophia and Lynn and Ratika, who were a team, Jacob, Loretta, Carolina, and Ahana. And I was just been a personal pleasure to meet all of you and to see your art develop. Not only are they amazing artists, but amazing orators, much better job than I am doing right now. When we had our presentations, right, for the judging, it was extremely impressive. And I think it's a reflection on our school system and on the adults who are involved with their lives, that they're such accomplished young people. There's so many different things to do at the high school, as I'm now learning. It's very busy. And so for you to take the time to really prioritize this and deliver such an amazing set of ideas has just been a pleasure. So we just want to support you with whatever journeys you're going on, and applaud our 3 winners as well, which was our teams, Lynn and Ratika, and Loretta and Carolina, okay? And I'd love it if you could all hold up your murals so we can just get an idea of all the work that you've done. Here. Is there anything, I know it's putting you on the spot, but is there anything you would like to add? I mean, you all did so well in your presentations, so I'm just... Do you want to say what your theme was? Have we got time or no? Yeah? Do you want to say briefly what your theme was about?
For my theme, I chose 52 different species from the WWF Conservation Wildlife List, and I focused on global warming and how the impacts of many different human impacts have on a variety of different species. So I did that with each individual card and the fire, of course.
Hi, so we wanted to do a combination of environmental impact in the urban city settings and also like forestry. So we focused a lot on incorporating green cities with like forestation on the towers and etc., and also clean power such as windmills. And then we also added a forest filled with different animals that are considered endangered right now. So you can see like the Indian elephant, the cockatoo, the deers, etc. And we put this in an environment where they live together to show that we're striving for a future of inclusivity and connection and moving away from like the current damaging practices that have caused pollution and global warming.
I made mine really focus on Livingston and New Jersey wildlife and animals in hopes that it started something like a national park type environment in Livingston where we can protect and enjoy our wildlife here. So that's why there's deer, flowers, and wildlife that are all New Jersey local.
So mine was all about the importance of our natural predators within our ecosystems, especially wolves and cougars in New Jersey. And due to the lack of these natural predators, we've had a cascade of issues. especially the overpopulation of deer. You might have seen so many in your backyard, eating your gardens, eating your flowers, and this mural really draws attention to that, and things we can do to really combat the effects of the overpopulation. Since there have been new invasive species taking over, all sorts of other effects that are kind of like a chain reaction from this lack of natural predators.
With mine, I just wanted to remember people of the beauty of the ocean and just to not let fade these colors, the beauty that we don't like see every day, because I know we don't live close to the beach, but there's just so many glowing colors on this word that we shouldn't lose. So we just shouldn't let that fade.
I wanted to highlight that saving the environment is a choice that we make. I kind of like split my piece into half, where one is focusing on green energy like windmills and solar panels, and the other one is the effects of overconsumption and fossil fuels and how that can leach into our neighborhood communities.
Thank you guys very much. I think the council will come down. We have citations for everybody, so we're going to come down and join you, and then we'll take a group picture.
Thank you.
Sure.
Since we're just moving anyway, I just wanted to say thank you to Beth Littman at the Business Improvement District, who's helped facilitate this from the beginning, as well as a number of businesses at the Pink Jewels, Marie at Pink Jewels, and the Salad House, who've helped facilitate some of the sponsorship for these murals so that we could have more than just the one. So that's really been a huge help. And Town Council itself, obviously, as well, for trusting our young people and letting them just go for it with their expression and not put any limitations. So thank you.
Great job. All right. Oh, thank you. You guys all have
It's coming? Yep, now it is. All right, so the citation reads, the mayor and the member of the Livingston Township Council are pleased to honor Livingston Environmental Mural Competition winners. So I'm gonna start with a couple of names. I have 2 certificates. Loretta Chan, you wanna come here and grab your citation? Thank you. Congratulations, Loretta. And Lin Sen.
And Ratika Chanwala. Did I get that? Is it close? All right. And Carolina Romero Vasquez.
So I have the runners-up, Ahana Agrawal. Congratulations. And Sophia Paparazzonos. Congratulations. I always get the hard ones.
And we have one more, Jacob Glazer.
All right, maybe we'll all take a picture, all of us together. You guys want to come closer this way?
Yeah,
Everybody hold up your picture. Yeah, everybody hold up. All right, now we'll go on to the business parts. Can I have a motion for the approval minutes pending corrections of the March 12th, 2025 regular and conference, as well as the same date's closed session meeting minutes?
I'll move it.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. Before we ask for a motion on the public comment, just a little bit of housekeeping. On the consent agenda, we will be pulling Resolution 25-134, as well as Resolution 25-141. So can I have now?
And Mayor, that's pulled from the agenda, not from the consent agenda. It will not be voted on tonight,
Yes,
just for
I'm sorry.
clarification.
It will not be voted on. Can I have a motion to open the public comment on agenda items?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the meeting is now open. Public comment on agenda items only.
Oh, good. Hi, Mr. Mayor. Justin Alpert, a resident of this community. I don't know if we ever reversed our mural law, but we ought to have more murals up in this town. Other towns have murals. We ought to do the same. If we haven't reversed that law, we should seriously take a look at doing so. With respect to the consent agenda, can we please pull 25-132 with respect to the Climate Superfund? Did notice that the New Jersey Business and Industry Association is taking a position against this bill, saying that it poses retroactive liability, that it will drive up costs to consumers, and that it does nothing to reduce greenhouse gases. I don't think we should be taking an anti-business position. This doesn't really affect the town. We don't really need to pass this resolution. If you're going to do it, perhaps you could do it as a matter of council speech that doesn't reflect the community, but throw it into that class of speech that's exclusively yours. Otherwise, we're probably better off having a deeper community conversation over the course of time. The other thing, would you please pull 25-140, authorizing the execution of developers agreement with Mount Pleasant Partners. I'm not sure that we're ready to authorize more development. We have a ton of units coming online. Not sure who's going to be filling them. We have yet to have a 5-on-5 and make sure that we're prepared to build out the schools for the perhaps we need to wait for the 5-on-5 and see if the schools are ready. I'm not sure why we are pushing for even more development. We have the units coming up out on the state highway. We have the units coming up in Northfield Center. Perhaps it would be wise just to slow down development here. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Just a point, we have asked for a 5-on-5, waiting for the Board of Ed to get back to us. And on the item, the last one you just asked, 25-140, this is a 55 and over community. So as far as kids coming out of that, there probably won't be too
Why are we doing 55 on the edge of town? Wouldn't we want to do that like in the middle of town where people can walk to shops and whatnot? There's nothing over there.
It's not for us to decide. That's where the developer wanted to do it.
Well, you're in charge, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you.
I would just comment on to say that we're not pushing development. I think, Justin, someone, you come to these meetings very regularly, and you know that none of these developments are being pushed by us forward, right? These are obligations that we have to fulfill. So your language, your language is unreasonable in that respect, to say that we're pushing it forward. It's just not true.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
Hi, I'm Bob Palestine. I'd like to speak on behalf of the New Jersey Climate Superfund Act.
I think you guys speak a little bit closer, please.
Oh, sorry.
Thank
Yes, Bob Palestine. I'm a member of the Interfaith Climate Action Group in Montclair, a consortium of 16 faith communities. And this is a non-binding resolution that the Town Council, I totally thank Deputy Mayor Sean Klein, Al Anthony, for supporting this. And what it is a way for us to begin to reclaim our environment, which is getting totally destroyed by pollution, by what's going on in our townships. And as a faith community, it's our sacred obligation to protect this earth for all religions, Muslim, Christian, Jewish, Quakers. And what we're doing is lending our support to this bill, which still has to go through the Senate. But the more voices we have, especially when you think about what's going on at the federal level, where they are taking away EPA rights and laws, rolling that back, FEMA is being decimated, and we need to have a way to recover money, whether it is past, present, or future. Polluters knowingly have pushed our trash down Bloomfield Avenue to Newark, and we have to stop this. So I appreciate your leadership on putting this forth, and thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
Jean Stoloff, 18 North Drive. There have been so many changes in town that it's kind of hard for many of us to really know what it means at the Livingston Mall. I know you're redeveloping, but does the town own any of the property at all? I'm just curious.
No, we do not.
No, okay. Then in other words, you're really just doing redevelopment plans. Is that correct?
So what, if you're referring to what's being passed this evening?
well, that's why I
this
wanted-
This is the second reading of the redevelopment plan that was read a few weeks ago.
Right.
This is for the 367 units at the Sears property, which we need to pass so we can get our third round compliance in ordinance. And what this does, I'm sorry?
Is it for the whole thing or just for that?
So if you let me finish. So what this does is that it gives us, we do not have to build, if we do not want to, any other units on the entire mall. That's the most important part of passing this, to make sure that we have our third round compliance signed off for by Fair Share. Councilor, I think, Jared, when our hearing date is the end of April, I think?
Yeah, I was just saying, it's April 21st, Mayor.
No, I realize that you have to follow a certain regimen and that you have rules you have to follow. But it's a little hard for those of us who live in the community and just read in the paper, tidbits here and there, to really know what various things mean. Because everywhere we look around town, we see, things are torn down and things are built back. And I don't know how much authority you have there and how much you don't. I was one of those who fought for fair housing. I didn't expect it to be implemented this way, and I don't think you did either.
We did not, unfortunately, as the deputy mayor so rightfully said a few minutes ago to Justin, that all of these developments are not something that we are pushing for or that we are actually going out and asking developers to come in. They had the law on their side, and this is coming from Trenton. And so the people who did fight for the fair share housing all across the state, this is what happened. This is what we have to do.
It got out of hand. I mean, the way we envisioned it and the way it's being done are two separate things. Because, Bob Leopold he was instrumental in that group, and he certainly would not have done anything like this. What I'm curious about is you're just talking about the redevelopment. What is possible for that one section for the Sears?
Correct. So that's correct. And I think you'll hear a little bit later on. We had, this past week, we had a very successful charrette week where we had open engagement from the entire community on the entire mall itself. Last Saturday here at 1 o'clock, we had a final meeting, which was very interesting. It was well attended. All the sessions were very well attended. We had over 4,000 people answer the surveys online that was put out as well. So there was a fair amount of engagement by the community as well. And this is a long-term project. Nothing is going to be decided today, tomorrow, or the next day. What 07-2025 is what I believe you're talking about, that ordinance, the second passing, is really on the Sears property, and that will put us in compliance for the third round.
Okay, very good. All right, we'll be informed, I assume, as everything comes up. Good luck.
Thank you.
Mayor, may I make a comment?
Sure.
Because even if I have to just win one person over at a time, with that Sears Mall project, that whole mall project is 62 acres. If we didn't do what we did and negotiate with the Sears property, okay, there could have been thousands and thousands of housing units on that mall. And you know what? Thank God we did what we did, and we were able to lock ourselves into that mall. And right now, 376 units are going to be built over at the Sears property. However, builders cannot come to us again, and the state cannot come and force another housing unit on that property because of what we ended up doing. So you know what? Unless we want housing on there, there'll be more housing. But right now, we are capped at 376 units over at that 62-acre mall. 66? 66, I was corrected, I'm sorry. I wasn't talking about the teardrop.
I had mentioned as an idea that maybe they would want, Scandinavia has developed mini towns within other towns where everything is there, the place you work, the place you shop, the place you live. And I thought that might be a consideration for this area, and also that you might have a contest with architect, but you don't have control over everything.
No, we don't.
But if you ever did have suggestion control, to have a contest for architects to come up with a plan for the whole thing, you might get some very interesting ideas.
Thank you very much, Jane, we will. Any other comments on agenda items only? Seeing none?
Motion to close public comment on agenda items?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, opposed? All right, so we're now on to the final reading of, final hearing of two ordinances. Carolyn, would you please read 07-2025?
Thank you, Mayor. Ordinance 7-2025, adopting Livingston Mall redevelopment plan.
Have a motion to open the hearing?
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, the hearing is now open for 07-2025. Comments, please.
Hi, Mr. Mayor. Justin Alpert, a resident of this community. You know, the dais can sit and pat itself on the back for having negotiated 376 units, but that was really done behind closed doors. And then it was put on the agenda and the council quickly, you know, approved it. And there should have been more of a public involvement in the decision-making process itself. And it's not, you just heard, it's obvious to people in this community that we don't have leverage over the property. And it may be worth holding off on the development agreement. There is a huge election coming up in November, and there's broad agreement across the state that development policy got away from us. And the Republicans seem to be coalescing behind a candidate. The Democrats still have room to make arguments here. If we slow down this process, we could actually be leading the statewide conversation about how the third round actually got away from us and how we need to put the brakes on, and we honestly need to put the brakes on the fourth round. And rather than giving leverage to Eddie Lampert and his financier, Scott Kapnick, with respect to the Sears property, let's just hold them at bay a bit and negotiate with them and say, you know, we want control over the real property. We don't want these mistakes that we've been seeing in other developments where the affordable housing goes back to you guys at the end of 30 years. You're going to build affordable housing. It should be here in perpetuity for the benefit of the people who actually live in the community. Let's take a break. We don't need to pass this developers agreement today. Let's hold our ground and fight the good political battle here, because under the Murphy administration, the locality's lost, and everybody's looking forward to the election in November. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Any other comments on? You have to come to the mic, Gene, so people can hear you. I'm sorry.
I'll bring the mic to you.
Trees that the county cut down, will they be required to replace them somewhere in town?
This is the public hearing for an ordinance, so there'll be another public comment session at the end.
No, but I'm just asking the question.
Yeah, but this is.
It relates to
we're
the
in the middle.
mall property there.
That's county property, that's not the
You're
mall
talking about the
property.
roundabout?
You know what the roundabout?
That's
Or
not the
the-
mall property.
That's this conversation has nothing to do with the roundabout.
Okay, I can't wait, but will you answer that question then,
Yes.
please? Thank you.
Any other comments on 07-2025?
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing on ordinance.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so we want to call the question?
Mayor, we should just note on the record, under the local redevelopment and housing law, redevelopment plans are required to be submitted to the planning board for statutory review. Planning board did review it, provided back a memorandum. I provided a memo to the council earlier addressing the recommendations. There's some differing opinions as to whether the council is obligated to disapprove or approve of only comments and recommendations relating to consistency with the master plan, which is, I think, the majority opinion. But nevertheless, I addressed each comment they had. They are and would suggest that the council adopt the memo as the position on each of those recommendations. Very briefly, 3 of them were perceived corrections or typos. One was, it said Eisenhower Avenue should be Eisenhower Parkway. Obviously accept that, and we made the change. One was a typo on a block and lot number. That typo was already previously corrected, so accept that change. The third one from the planning board, I think, was their misinterpretation of a particular section that referred to and was intended to refer to block 6002 lot 1, which simply meant that the balance of the mall property at this time remains subject and controlled by the DS1 zoning. Those were their corrections. They also had 4 recommended additions. The first one was to include a requirement for elevators, and the second one was to add a requirement for emergency generators as outlined in the memo. The concern there is the state already regulates elevators and has provisions as to when you're, and I know what the genesis of this was, of course, the property over the Pulte Homes property where they had a standalone separate affordable housing, and based on kind of gaming the system, there was no elevator. Nevertheless, in this property, it's inclusionary, so there is not going to be a separate affordable housing. The state already has requirements for elevators. This project as proposed would already have to have elevators. In addition, there is no current state requirement other than certain medical facilities and other certain facilities that have to have generators for a generator. The concern is that the Mount Laurel law is very clear that the realistic opportunity has to be provided to develop affordable housing cannot include adding unnecessary cost-producing requirements. And the concern is if we add some local requirement for more generators than the state would require, more elevators than the state would require, we'd be at risk of a legal challenge that it was adding an unnecessary cost-producing requirement, and thus the recommendation is to just not approve of that recommendation. The third one that the planning board, they suggested that we specify the number of acres, total units, and units per acre permitted within block 6002 lot 1.01. The plan does specify the number of units, 376, and the map in the plan demonstrates that the acreage is 15.8. So the only thing missing is the math to do the division, so it's 23.8 units per acre. I don't think it's necessary to amend the plan or add to the plan just doing the math, but because the information's there for anyone who wanted to know the units per acre, plus I'm now stating it's 23.8 units per acre. And then lastly was a recommendation which I think, and certainly invite Township Attorney to weigh in as well, but it had a recommendation to ensure that the development on the Sears parcel is cohesive and consistent with an overall plan for block 6002 lot 1. One, there's a concern that cohesive and consistent is sort of vague and unenforceable. But 2, we don't have the overall plan yet for the rest of the mall, so it's hard to prospectively make them be consistent with it. And 3, we are obligated under the settlement agreement to adopt this plan. So for that reason, I would also recommend not approving that, and I just wanted to put all that on the record.
And I concur with everything Mr. Lewis said and make the same recommendations, and we just want to state that the planning board found it consistent with the master plan, which is why we're going this way. So the planning board has reviewed it and found it consistent with the master plan.
Okay. Okay. Did we call the question? We had a second? We didn't call the question yet.
I'll make a motion to move ordinance.
Is there a second?
Move the ordinance, move the ordinance, seconded.
Okay, discussion?
Yes. Yeah, so I think I will just pick on the last point first, and then want to address something that Mr. Alpert said, that it's not behind the closed doors. This is, going back to the master plan, I think that really boils down to everything, that we're not baking The rest of the mall is open for conversation. And that's what we had it in last one full week. So if we hear that, this is something behind the closed doors, it's untrue. What we have because of this ordinance is that rest of the 45 or so acres of property open for planning, for visioning, that's where I would say hundreds, but maybe several residents over the period of one full week. And we saw the final summary here. The hall was almost full. And we had tremendous amount of interest from our residents, giving ideas from all the way from having a data center to a pond to a recreational gym and stuff like that. And we already have a concept of a plan. Again, none of this was behind the closed doors. None of these was behind the in the conference room, or whatever, right? So it's really an open conversation. Yes, in order to open the door for the 45 acres, the ordinance we are passing is the way we have it settled. I think that's an important aspect that everybody needed to understand. I think most of the people who came understood that. So I think from my participation perspective, I've been on the council for a little while now, a little over a year now. I'm really proud of saying that this is a transparent process. This was really appreciated by township residents. I spoke to everyone and they appreciated at the end of the day that how open this was. They were happy about the concept of the plan that came up on the screen right behind us. And that's the result. That's the engagement we always want. And I'm really happy that we ended up doing that. Just want to make that comment. Thank you.
Thank you. The other comment I was going to make in relationship to Mr. Alpert's comments is that about holding off, the idea of holding off doesn't really work well for us because what happens is with our compliance hearing coming up in March, the window of being only able to have 376 units on that would go away because chances are somebody would come along and probably ask for anywhere between who knows how many more thousands of units at the mall until we have that protection from the courts.
And Mayor, so I also want to add that the 376 number, it was a transparent process. There was a negotiation of a settlement agreement. That settlement agreement was brought up by resolution. It was voted on in public. And at that time, we knew we were going to have to zone for the settlement agreement. The Tribune reported on it. Tap Into reported on it when the agreement was. And additionally, the agreement went before the Superior Court at a fairness hearing. The fairness hearing was noticed to the public. The public was welcome to come and discuss it. It's been known for a long time to the public that this zoning was coming, and it was part of our settlement agreement, which has been well publicized by this council, by the Tribune, by TAP, and by this township.
Thank you. Any other discussion or quick roll call? No. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Anthony.
Yes.
Laptani.
Yes.
Viera.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Klein.
Yes.
Mayor Meinhardt.
Yes. Mayor Karen, will you please read ordinance 09-2025?
Ordinance 09-2025, appropriation of $2,035,000 bonds for various improvements.
I'll make a motion to open a public hearing.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. He is now open for,
Hi, Mr. Mayor. Justin Alpert, a resident of this community. Can you speak to the wisdom of putting $250,000 for annual stream cleaning in a bond ordinance, please?
I'll let Barry, Barry or Ann, you want to handle that, please?
What do you mean by the wisdom of cleaning the streams?
The
or
wisdom of putting an annual expense into a bond ordinance. You'd figure a bond ordinance would be for capital expenditures or, this is an annual stream cleaning, including sediment and debris removal.
Right.
For how many years are we going to be paying interest on this?
So this is an appropriation that is allowed explicitly by the state. I think it's in recognition that it's considerable expense to try and bear in 1 year in a budget. It's also, although it says annual, it's not perpetual. It'll be every year for the next 50 years. This was part of an overall project. There was phase 1 done. This is phase 2. There's about 3 more phases. And then, so the totality of that to try and absorb that in 1 year budget would cause a significant impact on taxes. The state allows us to spread it out over a number of years. I don't know the exact useful life that it's allowed. But it's just more, a method of recognizing that the benefits of cleaning the stream are going to last longer than the few years that you actually do it.
So
and spread the
when
cost
it says annual stream cleaning, that's not it. It's just stream cleaning. We can read out the word annual.
Well, yeah, it was written as annual, but it's not an annual for the next 20 years. It's an overall project. We did the first phase last year, so perhaps the word annual was not accurate.
Thank you, sir.
Sure.
Any other comments on 09-2025?
Motion to close public hearing.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Someone call the question, please.
I'll move the ordinance.
Second.
Any discussion from the council? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Councilmember Anthony?
Yes.
Paptani?
Yes.
Viera?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Klein?
Yes.
Mayor Reinhardt?
Yes. Okay, we're down to the consent agenda. There's nothing for introduction this evening, excuse me. All matters listed with an asterisk are considered to be routine and non-controversial by the council and will be approved by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a member of the governing body so requests, in which case the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered in its normal sequence on the agenda as part of the general orders. As mentioned earlier, we will not be voting on 25-134 and 25-141. Are there any other consent agendas that the council would like to be pulled out for separate voting?
Mayor, can I request 25-140?
And can we pull out 132 as well, please, Mayor?
Sure. Okay. All right, so Carolyn, will you please read then 133, 135, 136, 137, 138, 139?
Yes, Mayor. This is Resolution 25-133, Budget Appropriation Reserves. Resolution 25-135, authorizing a contract with Cefelli & Son General Contracting, Inc. Resolution 25-136, authorizing a contract with Direct Flooring, Inc. Resolution 25-137, authorizing the award of a contract to Selective Insurance Company. Resolution 25-138, authorizing purchases under the State of New Jersey Cooperative Purchasing Program. And Resolution 25-139, Environmental Infrastructure Trust, PFAS.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolutions remaining on the consent agenda.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Anthony?
Yes.
Paptani?
Yes.
Viera?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Klein?
Yes.
Mayor Meinhardt?
Yes. Will you please read 25-132?
Resolution 25-132, New Jersey Climate Superfund Act.
Before we have discussion, I think we have to make a motion.
Motion.
I'll move, second.
Second, okay, discussion, please.
Thanks, Mayor. I just wanted to, first of all, say what we're doing with, by passing this is expressing our support for holding liable these large fossil fuel companies that have caused carbon pollution in our air, and gives us a mechanism for obtaining funds to go after in order to recoup and help fight climate change. So this is crucially important, and I really want to thank Bob Palestine for bringing this before us and for making the effort and for coming here again tonight. Thank you for the effort that you're making. It's helping us to do meaningful things. Thank you.
Any other discussion?
Bob, as well, I want to thank you for bringing this to us. I know I love the work you do. One of the first groups I ever represented in Jersey City was the Interfaith Community Organization, and we were able to certify. I certified the first environmental class action in the state of New Jersey for a chromium-contaminated ball field, and we got a 30-year program at Christ Hospital for everyone to be checked out. And it was through the ICO, the Interfaith Community Organization, that got in contact, and I love the work you do. Second of all, and I did flip you that article last time, that the statewide initiative was dismissed. It's going to be appealed for climate change. I know that, and Justin, to your point of local level, Hoboken brought a climate change suit. Theirs is still alive. They did include a RICO claim in it, but it does show that towns can get involved in this and bring their own action or merely show our support like you brought to us. So we did go 5-0 on that and support that, and thank you for all the great work you do.
Mayor, just a quick question on two parts. One, Mr. Albert brought up. I think that's important. Retroactive liability. Do we have any reading on the law? Like, what are we looking at, and what is the business impact? We do not have any large corporations at this moment, at this juncture. Barry, I don't know if that's information is handy that applies to this. But I'm generally very much in favor of protecting ourselves. But are we exposing anything by doing this?
I'm not aware of any, certainly any, you're talking about located in Livingston? Yeah, I'm not aware of any local businesses that would be subject to this.
None that would be a defendant here, right, in a climate change suit? I know the statewide one, Bob, and you probably know this, was with Exxon and a few other defendants that actually knew their behavior would change climate, going many decades back, actually. I'm not sure we have that in Livingston.
Thank you. And that's exactly the point, right? That we do not have an exposure, we do not have those large corporations here. It's important that we protect ourselves. As Councilman Anthony said, they will be defendant if it is in future that something like that happens. Thank you.
Okay, any more comments? We call the roll, please.
Councilmember Anthony?
Yes.
Paptani?
Yes.
Viera?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Klein?
Certainly, yes.
Mayor Meinhardt?
Yes. Will you please read Resolution 25-140?
Resolution 25-140, authorizing the execution of the developer's agreement with Mount Pleasant Partners, LLC, relative that certain property known as Block 2100, lots 22 through 25, 35.01, 35.02, and 35.03.
Do you have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Okay, discussion?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of quick comments. One is this has been in works for a couple of years. I think this is an important piece. I would certainly like to have sort of a quick summary of it. I'm not sure, Barry, if you are going to be able to do that. Just I'm putting you on the spot right here. But also, I'm going to do a quick summary of my reading. Right, this was before my time, so I went through, dug in, and find out what we are after here. 16.5 acres with number of units that was all approved, and I see the planning board date as well that happened in 2023. So if you can summarize this for everyone to have another set of information.
Yeah, generally, I mean, in terms of the project itself, it was one of the properties we were approached by a developer. Again, we haven't gone out looking for any of these. It was the old Gospel Church and a number of other, there was one very sort of almost a mansion on a large parcel property, number of properties that they assembled. They proposed and were welcomed by the town to do a 55 and over. Obviously, we like those because they don't have any impact on the schools. Again, their site selection versus downtown walkability, that's sort of they own the property and they propose to do it, but it's an opportunity for us to provide affordable housing credits without any impact on the school. So it was approved by the council, went to planning board, got planning board approval. This is the final step as a development agreement. Mr. Cantor's office negotiated it. He can weigh in as well, but generally developers agreements are done after the fact. They govern the obligations of the parties in terms of insurance, in terms of on-site improvements, in terms of off-track improvements, putting up bonds, ensuring they complete the project on time. Generally, that nature is fairly standard.
Yeah, so Councilman, this agreement, they've, like Mr. Lewis said, they've already gotten planning board approval. This is what protects the township. It incorporates the planning board resolution. It provides certain timelines in which developer has to complete projects. It provides allows the township to go on and inspect, it provides the bonding, it provides what happens if they don't live up to everything that they're supposed to do. So this agreement largely protects the township. This doesn't the obligation to build was already, it's already been zoned and it's already had its site plan approval. So this isn't more development, this is development that's already been approved, and this is protecting the township's rights.
Thank you, Council. I think that is the key point, right? It is not brand new, and it's important to have maybe a history revisited. It's been 2 years, but this has been in works, not brand new. Thank you. That's all, Mayor.
Any other discussion? Will you please call the roll?
Councilmember Anthony?
Yes.
Laptani?
Yes.
Viera?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Klein?
Yes.
Mayor Meinhardt?
Yes. Can I have a motion, please, to open the meeting, the public portion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Okay, the meeting is now open, public portion on any subject. The mic, please come up to the mic and just state your name.
Let's see if I can reach this or whatever. Hi, my name is Diane Finneran, and I've been a member of this community for over 50 years. My husband and I, when we were looking for a place to buy a home, this is where we settled after a lot of research. We settled in this town because of the beautiful area that it is, and it's always been kept lovely. And I'm still proud, after all those 50 years, to live here. My husband passed away 4 years ago, but he always loved this town also. And when we got to this town, we looked at a lot of the rules and regulations that are required in this town, and we liked them, and we still like them, because it makes the town beautiful. And I know for a fact that all of you people sitting here care so much about this town. Now, interesting, because I don't think any of you remember this, because you're all younger than I am. But when we first moved to this town, Toys R Us came, and there was an ordinance in this town that Jeffrey the giraffe's neck was too long. And you don't remember. It was too long. So they had to cut him down, and on Route 10, you saw a smaller Jeffrey giraffe. But those were good things, because that impacted the entire community. And I also feel that this community, I don't wake up in the morning knowing that I'm going to have an industrial park in my backyard, and no one ever told me. So that's all good. My thing is here tonight that I have some reservations about a property that is located on Hillside Avenue and Northfield. There is an Exxon station there. It's been there. Actually, it was an Exxon station when my husband and I moved here. There were 2 bays in the Exxon station, and Bernie, who owned it, did oil changes, rotating tires, whatever. Now, there is something else going on there, and I brought some pictures to show you. I took these pictures. I didn't go on the property. I did park my car illegally on Hillside, but I stayed on the sidewalk to get these pictures. Excuse me?
We don't believe you. You're just telling me that's part of the story.
The place on this corner is an absolute mess. And every time I go by it, which is often because I go to the bank, ShopRite, whatever, I see this mess. And it has 20 to 25 cars parked there all the time. Now, you have to remember, there are 2 bays that fix cars. And I brought pictures of the cars. And I thought this was kind of interesting, because some of these cars have no license plates.
We'll just keep going. Forget the time. We're going to keep going, please.
Oh, I'm over 3 minutes, right? Okay.
So please keep going.
Some of the cars have no license plates. Many of them are luxury cars, Porsche, Mercedes, BMWs, which strikes me as odd, because if you have a car like that, I wouldn't think you bring it to the corner gas station to get service on it. Quite frankly, I don't know what goes on here. It might be all fine and dandy, but it is an eyesore. Can I show you these pictures? Can I get up there and, I gotta move this over. Hold on. I'll get up there. Okay, I have them in an order. Okay, you can each look at one, I have notes on them also.
I'm going to give this to the clerk.
Sure. I did call last year about this problem, and I was told it was grandfathered in. I guess because it was an Exxon station. But if you look at this, there's no way this ever existed before on that corner. It's terrible. It's embarrassing, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I do think, so I've driven by there before. I have seen the amount of cars. I don't think there's any illegal work going on. I do know that there is mechanic work going on there.
You don't think anyone is selling the cars? It's not
No.
a used car lot?
No, because I do hear from people who have dropped their car off. I do think the issue might be, and Barry, I'm going to ask you to please have someone take a look at it. There must be rules and regs about how many cars are allowed on a property at a time. I think that might be something that we might want to look into. I happened to be stopped at that red light the other day going west on Northfield Avenue, and I did look over to my right, and I did notice, I'd say 15 to 20 cars parked on the
That's on a good day.
on the perimeter of the parking lot.
Well, if you look at one of my pictures, they're parked 3 deep.
Yeah, so there might be something, I know in other towns that I do some work in, they have restrictions of how many cars are allowed at one time on a site. So Barry, maybe we can send somebody over there to look into that and see what our rules and codes are
Well,
to see.
property maintenance already went there last year. He told me it was grandfathered in.
Well, I will.
The business, yes, but not the amount of cars.
No,
Yes,
exactly.
the business, I don't disagree is
I
grandfathered in.
understand. They pump gas, and they have two
They pump
bays to
gas and they
gas.
have the bays.
Right.
But I would like to know, I've seen this before, I'm gonna not take a look at it right now, but I do know exactly what you're talking about. And I do think I'd like to have property maintenance take a ride over
Okay.
there.
Some of those cars have no plates on them.
Yeah, so
And I
that-
think that's against the law.
Yeah, that,
From New Jersey.
Yeah.
that caught my ears when you said there were no
Well, you
plates.
will see
Because
it on the pictures
obviously, if
I've
you bring your
taken.
car to get repaired,
Yeah, in
it
New
probably
Jersey,
has
you have
plates
to
on
have
it.
license plates on your property.
So we
on your
will,
car.
I will certainly have code enforcement, I'll personally speak to them, review whatever grandfathered status they did or didn't have. You can't,
Okay.
even if you're a grandfathered non-conforming use, you're not allowed to expand that non-conforming use. And
Right,
it sounds like certainly, what you're telling me is in your 50 years here in the past, they never had that many cars there.
Never.
Okay.
Never.
So, I will follow up on that, and then also the issue of cars not having license plates, which might suggest they're being sold, as opposed to, because if you drive your car to get repaired, I assume you have a license plate on it.
I would think
And
so.
then you leave, so.
I would think so. Thank you very much.
But I just like to point out, so I just want to thank you, because I talk about it all the time, people who don't come to our meetings often. So we don't have, we learn a lot when people come and tell us information like this. So I just want to thank you very much for coming, taking time out of a Monday evening, spending time with us on a Monday evening, and telling us some of the concerns that are in this town, because a lot of us just, we don't know everything, and we're not all over the place.
Right.
We all have jobs that pay our families' bills. And so it's great when residents come and tell us stuff like that, so we can then ask our employees to go check it out on your behalf. So thank you
I
very much for
appreciate
coming.
that. And thank you for keeping this town so lovely.
Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure to live here.
Thank you.
I'll take my pictures back when you're done. Do you want to take them? I mean, I don't need them back. I have them on my phone. Well, if we get some progress, then we'll. Thank you very much.
Okay, Justin, you're up.
Hi, Mr. Mayor. Justin Alpert, a resident of this community. As previously mentioned, there are a lot of people across the state, a lot of people across this community who are really, really excited about the upcoming election. This November, we feel like we could bring the state in a new direction, stop the mandates that are coming down from Trenton, create the space for responsible innovation and development of best practices in the localities. Given the possibilities going forward, there's a broad sentiment in this community that it doesn't make sense to have a town council where everyone is represented by a single party. Could you please ask the township attorney to report back to us at the next meeting about what we would need to do if we wanted to move to nonpartisan elections and have a nonpartisan council.
You have 1:55 left.
How you doing? Good, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Any other comments on any subject? Seeing none?
Motion to close the public portion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We are now, thank you. We are now up to reports on township officials and council members. Ann?
Nothing today, thank you, Mayor.
Adam?
Nothing this evening. Good this evening, thank you.
Russ? Counselor?
Mayor, just to continue the transparency of the fourth round of affordable housing, I reported at our last meeting that the New Jersey Builders Association filed a challenge to the reduction in our DCA number. All challenges to the township's number were to be completed by March 31st. The builders challenged 156 municipalities' numbers. Those were the total numbers of municipalities which did not confirm DCA's number. The courts at least have ruled on Livingston's, and I think they've decided, basically the builder's challenge was not that our number wasn't right, but that if we reduced our number and the overall number was reduced, that there wasn't enough affordable housing in our district and that the ratio needed to be changed. They've decided to kick it and to the next phase of compliance. So it doesn't sound as though the builder's challenge is going to be heard in this phase. This phase was just to determine what our present need was, and the court found that they're going to deal with this in the compliance stage. And the courts seem to be looking for direction from Trenton, as there's no statutory, there's really nothing in the statute that provides for this scenario. So it doesn't look like the builder's challenge will be dealt with in this round of, in this phase of fair share housing.
Was that the same for every town, all 156, or were there some?
No. So 90 towns were also challenged by Fair Share Housing Corporation. And the builders agreed that in those towns, whatever number Fair Share Housing and the municipality settled on, the builders were going to agree to that, but continue their challenge as to the reallocation based on the number. So they were asking each municipality to go back to DCA's number. In those towns where Fair Share Housing Corporation also filed the challenge, they're accepting Fair Share Housing's negotiation.
But we were happy to see that the fair share housing didn't go after us. They thought our number was reasonable.
Yes, and that's a large credit to Mr. Lewis and our township planner and all the hard work done by the township and obviously the governing body supporting that number.
Thank you. Carolyn?
Nothing for me tonight, thank you.
All right. The deputy mayor has the honor of giving the remarks for the council this evening.
This is for representing everyone on the council, and one of the things that we're going to highlight is that I think tonight was the generative AI seminars were starting tonight. So just wanted to say we had a couple of gentlemen who were leading those seminars come and present to us at the last meeting, and hopefully those will be well attended, but we just wanted to publicize that those were happening again, and if anyone in the community wants to learn more about AI and how it might affect us in the future, that may be a good way to go. Everyone here was aware that we had the mall reimagining process this past week, which I think was just incredibly well attended. The council was just really excited to hear all the ideas that people are coming up with. I think that there were two really positive aspects to it. One was how many people were coming out and how many interesting things they had to say about it on the one hand. And on the other hand, once we saw on Saturday, a formulative product, it's not final by any stretch, but just sort of a coalescence of all the different kinds of ideas and what we could imagine the mall property looking like. It was just an overwhelmingly positive response from everyone that was sitting in the audience. Everyone had just wonderful comments about it. They thought the process was great. And that was great feedback to hear from us because that's what we were hoping to get to. And hopefully the process is going to keep moving forward and the town can be excited about what might be possible. I know that my fellow councilmen, Michael and Caton, went to the Young Men's Service League and spoke, was it yesterday? Last night. And I think all of us have had an opportunity to do that before. It's a really rewarding experience to be able to talk to them, and they were grateful for the chance to do that. There was a ribbon cutting at Golf Cave on Route 10, so hopefully that'll be an exciting opportunity for people who want to, especially on rainy days, get out there and use their golf clubs. And then we also went to an iftar dinner that we were invited to with a lot of different people from the community, including Board of Ed members. It was a really, I think, warm and inviting event, and that was the second annual dinner. And we appreciate the invitation and the delicious food. And we would say Ramadan Mubarak for all of those who were celebrating. Thank you, Mayor.
Just real quick, I was going to say, yeah, we had another ribbon cutting. We have a new restaurant in town, Crave.
Oh.
We had a ribbon cutting last Wednesday as well, so we look forward to everybody participating.
I missed Councilman Anthony's email on that.
That's okay. And just next week, check your inbox next week. Sorry. And then, just to follow up on what the deputy mayor said, I just want to thank my fellow councilmen for all their participation as well this past week at the Livingston Mall reimagining process. I think everybody really enjoyed. I think we really enjoyed ourselves. I think we learned a lot. Like I said to Diane, it's great when the residents come out because you get a chance to hear what's on their mind. That's exactly what took place all the sessions last week. I think I attended almost all of them, if not all of them, and we saw a lot of new faces at each one, some repeat faces, and I think it was just wonderful. And while Deputy Mayor said it's certainly, we're nowhere near the conclusion, or just really almost much more at the beginning of this stage, but it certainly was a good start, and we look forward to what happens next for this process. So thank you.
Mayor,
I'm Diane. I'm okay. So Councilman saying thank you for your work also on the animal shelter as well. So okay.
Ally on the LEC and you on the animal.
Yeah, and Ally, thank you also for the for all everything that you did the last couple weeks, and for this lovely presentation that we had today as well. So thank you. Counselor?
we're gonna go back into closed, Mayor, so.
So we're going to be going back into the closed session, which was continuing from where we opened.
And there'll be no formal action taken after closed session.
Right. Thank you all very much.
Motion, Mayor, we're gonna do the motion out here.
Motion to adjourn?
No, motion to go into closed.
Oh, motion to go into closed?
Motion to go into closed.
The Madam Clerk's gonna read the closed session resolution.
Oh, we're going to do it here? Okay.
Resolution 25-143 to go into closed session number 2, whereas the Open Public Meeting Act, Public Law 1975, Chapter 231 permits the exclusion of the public from a meeting in certain circumstances, and whereas the Township Council is of the opinion that such circumstances presently exist, and whereas the Township Council wishes to discuss Livingston Mall attorney-client privilege, Communications Department personnel, and attorney-client privilege. 576 to 586 Route 10 redevelopment plan, attorney-client privilege. Deputy Mayor Klein will be recused. And then Block 6001, Lot 75 and 100, Cedar Hill Country Club zoning, attorney-client privilege. And Mayor Meinhardt will be recused from that. And then Fair Share Housing litigation, attorney-client privilege.
There needs a roll call.
We have the roll call.
Councilmember Anthony.
Yes.
Peptani.
Yes.
Vieira.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Klein.
Yes.
Mayor Meinhardt.
Yes. Thank you all.